There's a man in Ohio named Mark. He's 34, works a steady job in logistics, and makes about £58,000 a year. Nothing extraordinary, but nothing terrible either. From the outside, Mark looks like he's doing well. He drives a leased SUV, wears branded clothes, upgrades his phone every year, and never misses a group dinner. If you saw his Instagram, you'd probably think he has it all together. But what you don't see is that Mark checks his bank account before buying groceries. His credit card balance is over £9,000. He hasn't saved anything meaningful for retirement, and last month when his car needed repairs, he had to borrow money from his sister. Mark isn't bad with money in the way most people think. He doesn't gamble, he doesn't make reckless investments. His real problem is much quieter and much more common. He's spending money to impress people who aren't thinking about him nearly as much as he thinks. This is the hidden cost of trying to impress others, and it's draining millions of Americans financially without them even realizing it. In the United States, nearly 60% of adults say they've made purchases specifically to impress other people. That's not a small number, that's more than half the population, and it shows up in subtle ways: buying a nicer car than you need, choosing a more expensive apartment, wearing certain brands, or constantly upgrading tech. At the same time, the average American carries over £6,000 in credit card debt, and about 37% of adults can't cover a £400 emergency without borrowing money or selling something. Now, these two realities might seem unrelated, but they're deeply connected, because a large portion of everyday spending isn't about need, it's about perception. There's an entire system built around this idea. It's called consumer signaling, even if most people have never heard the term. Companies don't just sell products anymore, they sell identity. A car isn't just transportation, it's status. A phone isn't just a tool, it's a reflection of your lifestyle. Even something as simple as a pair of sneakers can become a statement about who you are, or who you want others to believe you are. And marketing has become incredibly effective at tapping into this. Every ad you see, every influencer post, every carefully curated image online, it's all designed to make you feel like you're one purchase away from being more respected, more admired, more put together. But here's the part most people miss. The people you're trying to impress are often doing the exact same thing. They're also spending money they don't fully have to impress others who are doing the same. It's a cycle, and no one really wins. Psychologically, this behavior is rooted in something very human: the need for social approval. Our brains are wired to care about how we're perceived by others. Thousands of years ago, fitting into a group was directly tied to survival. If you were accepted, you were safe. If you were rejected, you were at risk. That instinct hasn't gone away, it's just been redirected. Today, instead of worrying about survival in the wild, we worry about how we're perceived in social circles, workplaces, and online spaces. And money has become one of the easiest tools to manage that perception. When Mark leases a more expensive car than he can comfortably afford, it's not because he needs it, it's because it makes him feel like he's keeping up, like he belongs. But that feeling comes at a cost. Not just the monthly payment, but the interest, the insurance, the missed opportunity to invest that money, the stress of living paycheck to paycheck. Over time, these small decisions compound. An extra £300 a month spent on looking the part might not feel like much, but over 10 years that's £36,000. If that same money were invested with an average return, it could grow to over £50,000. That's the real cost, not just what you spend, but what you lose the chance to build. And this is where the system becomes even more powerful, because it doesn't just encourage spending, it normalizes it. When everyone around you seems to be living a certain lifestyle, it starts to feel like the baseline, not the exception. You don't question the $70 dinner, you don't question the car upgrade, you don't question the constant spending, it just feels normal. But normal doesn't mean sustainable. In fact, many of the people who look the most financially put together are often under the most pressure behind the scenes. There's a quiet shift happening right now, though. More people are starting to realize that real financial freedom doesn't look impressive. It's not flashy, it doesn't get likes, it doesn't stand out in a crowd. It looks like driving a car you can afford. It looks like saying no to unnecessary expenses. It looks like having savings, even if no one else sees it. It looks boring. And that's exactly why it's so hard. Because choosing financial stability often means choosing not to participate in the performance. It means being okay with not impressing people. And that's uncomfortable. For Mark, that realization came slowly. After years of trying to keep up, he started making small changes. He traded his leased SUV for a used car. He stopped upgrading his phone every year. He cut back on social spending, not completely, but enough to create breathing room. At first, it felt like he was falling behind. But over time, something shifted.
He paid off his credit cards, he built an emergency fund. For the first time in years, he stopped worrying every time an unexpected expense came up. And here's the surprising part. No one really noticed. The people he thought he needed to impress didn't care. They were too busy dealing with their own lives, their own finances, their own insecurities. And that's the final piece most people don't realize. The pressure to impress others is often self-created. We imagine the judgment. We assume the expectations. We build this invisible audience in our minds and then spend real money trying to satisfy it. But in reality, that audience is much smaller and much quieter than we think. So the next time you're about to make a purchase, it's worth asking a simple question. Would I still buy this if no one else ever saw it? Because that one question can quietly change everything. The hidden cost of trying to impress others isn't just financial. It's the life you could have built if you had focused on what actually matters to you, instead of what looks good to everyone else.